Sorry.
Hey friends, it is after 83 weeks party time. Thank you so much for tuning in live. This week, Eric and Conrad talked all about the impact of Lucha Libre on pro wrestling. You can ask Eric some questions about that or whatever else you'd like, because we have him live here with us right now. Please welcome Mr. Eric Bischoff.
Woo!
There he is. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. It is so great to see you, and not just him, but I have my friends Steve, Adam, and George here with us tonight.
Woo!
There's the whole crew. Look at these beautiful faces. We coming in hot as per usual. You guys don't hear it, but we've got some good convo already kicking off here tonight. So we are so happy that you've joined us live. Want to say hello to Josh and Mick and William and Ibzon. Nicholas is always here early. We got a big one from William Thomas already tonight. Thank you guys so much. You can write your questions for Eric right there in the comments. We will relay them over. And of course, a lot of stuff going down in the world of pro wrestling too this week, Eric. What is kind of on your radar? What are you watching? What are you seeing on the timeline? You told us you were just checking out the Twitter.
I'm not paying too close attention this week. I don't know why. And, it's a great week, right? AEW had a great week. And from what I understand, a solid pay-per-view. I didn't see it, but I'm not a solid pay-per-view, but it's a solid episode last night.
Yeah.
I didn't get the chance to see it. But, it sounds like there's a lot of great things going on, but I'm not really interested. Not that I'm not interested enough. I just don't have time this week to drop in on it. It's not that high up on my list of things to do. So I might, maybe by tomorrow it'll slow down for me a little bit. I may get bored and watch a recording from Dynamite. WWE's got some great stuff going on. So it's a good time to be in the wrestling business.
It certainly is. Our live folks are already talking about what may be going down on SmackDown this week with the White Rabbit and all of that kind of good stuff.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that a fun thing?
It is a fun thing. Do you have guesses? Are you playing along? Do you have fingers crossed for Bray Wyatt?
No, but the Bray Wyatt thing would make sense, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Certainly would. And if I had to bet money, that's what I would bet, just because it makes so much sense. But who knows? I think that would be fun to watch. And mostly because, again, when I watch it, man, I watch it more for the business side of it than I do for the actual matches and so forth. I like to see what the trends are and what the strategies might be and try to predict in the future a little bit on that. So that's fun for me. I like watching that. We'll see.
How would you tread that? Because, obviously this whole White Rabbit thing, it kind of began because people were saying during the commercial breaks of a SmackDown, this is happening. During house shows, this is happening. Like, all these things are kind of happening outside of, what was in front of us. It wasn't even something that played on TV. It was like, scan the QR code to go here. So how do you, how would you kind of tread that, as far as you see that it's getting a lot of buzz, but you're investing in things that's not appearing on TV, but it looks like it's paying off. So my question is how would you calculate that risk?
I would be working with someone much smarter than I am when it comes to, no, seriously. That's a big part of being successful, in my opinion, is knowing what you don't know. I know what I'm good at, but there's a lot of shit I'm not that good at or don't have any experience in. And this kind of organic viral marketing is really a world unto its own. It's a fascinating world, and there are young upstart companies and groups of people that are really, really good at it that aren't on anybody's radar. And I think the first thing that I would do is, if I wanted to create a campaign like that, which is a viral campaign that's going to build momentum and get attention and drive people to an event of one kind or another, first thing I would do is look around the room and say, okay, how many of you know anybody in this world? And if you don't, let's go find some. Let's go find the smartest ones and bring them in. And I'd hand it off to them. And I'm guessing, don't know, but I'm guessing that might be what WWE is doing. There could very well be an agency that's kind of helping them lay out that strategy. Or it could be somebody internal that just had that experience. But the first thing I would do is find somebody that knew more than me. Long story short.
I think they heard that Eric Bischoff was putting QR codes in his new book, and they wanted to hop on the trend too.
Do not doubt that.
Seriously.
Do not doubt that.
Well,
It's happened before.
absolutely. Well, I hope like residuals and stuff will get cut to David Freiberg.
Oh, sure they will.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, David Freiberg actually produced my dad's album way back in the day. He was a member of Jefferson Airplane and Starship and Jefferson Starship. So I hope in NorCal there's a Brinks truck getting pulled up to the Freiberg household. The fact that they use the song.
I hope so too. By the way, Jefferson Starship, Jefferson Airplane, the Evolution, some of my favorite music when I was in high school, and even into early college, because they kind of went away and then they came back again, and really, I had some real fun times to that music. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and I think obviously the current incarnation of the incarnation of the last 30 years is Starship. Nothing's going to stop us now. That's the one that everybody's familiar with. But obviously, they got their start from Jefferson Starship and Jefferson Airplane, right? Kind of there. No.
You know a lot more than I do, brother.
Listen, go down wormholes. But if it is Bray Wyatt, right? There have been other kind of Easter eggs, so to speak. I saw on the interwebs there might have been a truck, like a production truck, and a mysterious figure, coming out of the production truck. There has also been a graphic in Matt Riddle's clothing of the next Extreme Rules pay-per-view that kind of lend its hand to a Bray Wyatt return. All of this is just something out of the norm of the WWE of the last 20, 30 years, if ever. I mean, what's your thoughts on it, their new approach?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It wouldn't have paid off too well to have this kind of a campaign before there was social media and the internet and the interwebs and all the other means by which people share things now. I just think it's cool, man. It's different. And, how many you guys have been hearing me bang this drum for as long as we've been doing this show and probably longer. Man, you just got to be different. You can't keep doing the same things over and over and over and over and over again and think you're going to grow your business. Things have to change and evolve. And this is a new creative idea. And I think more importantly, it's taking social media and programming and content to a better level, to a higher level. I mean, everybody's trying to use social media and they chat and they sometimes have, fights over the internet and they call each other out over the internet or on social media. Big fucking deal. It doesn't really register much, does it? But when you can harness the kind of viral horsepower of a community and take them on a journey, which this is its own journey, kind of like, a video game in a way where you're actually a player in the game. Man, I think it's awesome, but it's also, I think, a manifestation of where we are digitally as a culture.
Right, and maybe there's an aspect.
And I want to tip my head to one more time. WWE at this point is the first time I've seen it done on this level. Mm-hmm. We'll see how successful it is, but it's very cool.
It is, and maybe they've realized that they can control the social media narrative a little bit. If everyone's talking about, is Bray Wyatt going to show up on Friday? They're not talking about what they didn't like about Raw on Monday night, right?
Well, and this is why I'm a little excited to talk about this, if you couldn't tell. They're engaging the audience in a fun way. It's like I said, it's a journey. I don't want to underestimate that. You're taking, it's a game. You're playing a game. You're guessing along and you're talking about it amongst your friends and people like us talk about it. And that's what it's supposed to create. I just think it's fascinating how they're doing it. And I wasn't even thinking about it too much until you brought it up. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about Bray Wyatt, some of the other free agents out there when we play Sign Here, Let's Talk, or Good Luck a little bit later. But one of the free agents who just got signed, we had a big surprise appearance last night on Dynamite, was Saraya, the former WWE superstar Paige. Is she someone who you hear that she made a debut and you go, oh, that's a good move. That's some money right there.
She's I don't know her well. I only know her professionally and cross paths and arenas and things like that. But she seems to me, the few times that I have chatted with her, I think most recently at StarCast in Nashville, just a sweet, just very nice person. And I'm happy for her. They say it's in her blood. Well, it really is. And I really hope it works out for her. She's in a great position. Yeah. She's in a great position. People are excited about her. Let's see where it goes, but I'm pulling for her.
They are excited. I thought of you when she came out because there was no announcement that there was going to be a big surprise. Right? For the first time, it seemed like we were expecting absolutely nothing. And that made it so much fun.
Shazam. Maybe somebody's listening to me on 83 Weeks or in Strictly Business or on this show. I don't know, maybe. Let's hope.
Our live chatter said, Cornell said, Saraya is turning the page. We love that.
Oh, I like that. See, Tony, now if I'm Tony Khan, you know what I would do? Like somebody, if you're listening to this show and you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that can get a message to Tony, do it. It'll be the biggest favor you've ever shared with him, given him. Because Tony's willing to stroke a check to buy music rights, right? Mm-hmm. And he's been doing it. He should go buy Bob Seger's Turn the Page. And that should be her entrance music. She could come out all badass. Along Lonesome Highway, deep in Omaha. Oh, turn the page. Oh my God, that would be so great. Bob Seger, Turn the Page. Her entrance would be fucking epic.
I'm sorry to crush your dreams, Eric. That is a fantastic idea. However, she's already gotten Tony Khan to pay her boyfriend's band to use their song for her entrance. So ship has sailed, but it's working out really well for Ronnie, the rock star.
Her boyfriend could cover that song. It would actually be cheaper.
There we go. What an idea.
Still have to pay publishing rights.
Oh yeah, you still have to pay, but it would be considerably less than buying a track outright.
I mean, Metallica did it, right?
But the Metallica version would be just as expensive as the Bob Seger version.
Right. Well, I hope they are listening. While we are at it, let's get to some awesome Lucha questions. We have got this one from William Thomas, who doesn't always join us live. Hello, William. Welcome, and thank you so much for the super chat and getting us into the Lucha Libre conversation. He says, Mr. B, how instrumental were you in acquiring Rey Mysterio, and how good of a talent was he?
I was the guy that brought him in, so I was very involved, I guess, to that extent, or to that point. As far as
you must have really seen something in him, yeah.
Well, again, he was part, Ray. I was building the cruiserweight division. I was looking for the best cruiserweights in the world, either domestically here in the States, and there weren't a lot of them because wrestling had always been such a big man's business. There weren't a lot of 160 pounders around back then, right? But I was looking to Japan and I was looking to Mexico. And once I started sharing that goal and wanting to bring cruiserweights in and the type of wrestler we were looking for, they started finding us. I don't know who introduced Ray to me or who was the agent, so to speak, go-between. It might have been Conan. It could have been something Kevin Sullivan, was involved in first, and then it got to me. I don't know. But as far as signing him and negotiating his deal, that would be me. And as far as, what kind of a talent is he? First of all, he's a first-class human being, number one. And a close number two, amazing. I don't think anybody can look at today's product in either WWE or AEW or obviously any of the indies and not recognize the massive impact, primarily Rey Mysterio, as well as other cruiserweights. But Rey Mysterio is kind of like the cream of the crop, I think. Most people would agree with that in terms of the level that he's reached and the impact that he's had. And that impact extends to his influence on today's product in either WWE or AEW. You didn't see that stuff much before. Rey and a lot of the luchadors and the guys from Mexico and a handful of North Americans. Didn't see it much before, and Rey led that pack. So can't say enough great things about Rey. Or Dean Malenko, for that matter. Or Eddie.
Guess who you'll be talking about next week. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I already recorded that show, by the way.
Oh, well then.
We're way ahead of schedule. I just realized that. I thought we were going to talk about. That's why I worked Dean in that trifecta, because I thought we were talking about Dean, because I just record, and usually I record it on Sundays, and then you know the deal.
All right. Well, we'll be waiting on the edge of our chair to hear about Dean for next week. There's so much to talk about there. In the meantime, John Graham has another question about the luchadors. Was there any lucha talent that you didn't get to sign that you wish you had?
No, honest answer, I wasn't that familiar with the lucha talents in Mexico. It's not like I was studying Mexican tapes and watching shows from AAA or EMLL or anywhere else. I was relying on people like Kevin Sullivan and Terry Taylor and eventually Conan to be that kind of liaison and find the best of the best. So they may be able to tell you somebody that they wish that they would have been able to bring to me that they weren't able to, but not off the top of my head. Good question though, man. Thank you.
For somebody like a Norman Smiley, is that somebody that, because I know he made he was a big name in Lucha Libre. Was that somebody that you saw maybe got pushed to you via the Lucha guys, maybe like the Conan and whatnot?
Yeah, I don't, again, at any one time, I think I had up to 115, 120 guys working for me on the roster. So I can't remember how each one of them showed up first and who connected the dots. I'm guessing that I'd have to say Norman was probably because of Kevin Sullivan. I'm guessing Kevin knew. Because wasn't Norman really busy in Puerto Rico?
I know he made a big name for himself in Mexico. I'm sure Puerto Rico is where I'm sure he made his name over there as well. But I know Black Magic, I think it was his name in AAA or CMLL, one of those.
CMLL.
Yeah, no. If he came through AAA, then it was probably Conan. If it came, Kevin Sullivan was really up to date on what was going on in Puerto Rico. So some talent came from out of there occasionally, but I can't remember, man.
I think he had the best, the cream of the crop, right? Because the WWF at the time tried to, initiate some luchadors or inject luchadors into the Royal Rumble, and it didn't really have any backstory, and it just kind of fell flat. They never went anywhere.
Yeah, it's just like their version of the cruiserweight division, that they dabbled in. Look, in the WWE's DNA under Vince McMahon, smaller talent from outside of the United States generally didn't see a lot of TV time. That wasn't it was a big man's business. It was Vince McMahon's vision of what wrestling should look like. And smaller guys with that style just weren't really a part of it. And I'm guessing begrudgingly at some point after the success of Nitro and because of the cruiserweights and the impact that it had, I'm guessing somebody in WWE said, well, we should do that too. We should give that a try. But there's a difference between let's give that a try and we should do that and like a big commitment. When you really want to do it, you want to make it work. Otherwise, you're just going through the motions and you're checking the boxes, and it probably won't have the impact you even want it to have because you're not really committed to it. And I think that's what probably happened with the 205 division or whatever it was at WWE, and probably to some extent using the luchadors as a group.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple fun questions I want to get to. One from Trigga Cheese. They want to know, how many sombreros do you own? This is a hard-hitting question that people need to know.
I don't. I've never even been drunk and bought one. Like, when you go to Vegas, what's the name of those bars? The
Cantina.
No, who's the famous singer? Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, he's got
Margaritaville. Yeah. Like even when I go to Margaritaville, I don't want to put on one of those hats. I don't wear hats. I got two cowboy hats in there. And I used to wear them when I'd ride my horse in the summertime because my face would get fried. But I don't have my horse anymore. Now I just use them as a decoration up on.
And Ibzan Aurora has two questions. I'm actually going to ask the second one first, which is, why not have a Nitro in Mexico? Their arenas sell out. And I'm kind of curious, was that idea ever floated? And were logistical reasons, or do you not have TV in Mexico or parts of Mexico?
That.
Oh.
Yeah, we just weren't hot in Mexico. We didn't have the distribution in Mexico. And look, you go back to 1996, 97, when we were seeing a lot of the first time we're seeing whatever year it was, maybe into 95, when you first started seeing the cruiserweights and the luchadors. You weren't seeing that, a regular diet of it, at least not any mainstream platforms. You just weren't seeing it. So what was the question? I forgot.
The question was,
why did we do it in Mexico?
Yeah.
That's because, the luchador style, now it's a little more popular now, right? I mean, it's a lot popular. There's an event going on down in Arizona that I think I'm going to go to in October, a AAA event. I know Conrad's going down to Mexico City for their version of WrestleMania, basically. So there's a lot going on down there. And I think Mexico's probably more familiar now with the American version of professional wrestling. But if you go back to 95, 96, 97, you'd have a hard time, unless you were in LA or maybe somewhere in Texas, you'd have a hard time, touring luchadors around the United States. There's some pockets in the country where, you could do it in and around LA, of course. But you get outside of that, you're not drawing any houses with luchadors because it was too new. Go do that in Iowa and see what happens.
Right.
And to the flip side, you had no infrastructure to think WCW could possibly draw in Mexico City, let's say.
No, and I didn't want to make the
they
effort.
don't get TBS in Mexico City.
No, and it wasn't worth the effort. There was no reason to want to try to engage in a lot of business in Mexico. Not for us, not for WCW at that point in time. I know WWE has made a big commitment there, and they've toured Mexico a number of times. But it just wasn't right for WCW at that time.
Ibzan also asked about your favorite Mexican-born wrestler during your time. But I think, to your point, I know you were a fan growing up. There probably weren't a lot of luchadors on TV when you were watching.
I never saw one. AWA, not that there weren't Hispanics, there were, but and guys from Mexico, but they were heavyweight. Whoever it was. I mean, no, there was no 160 pounders flying around wearing masks.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about someone who is neither a luchador or not even really a professional wrestler until very recently. Matthew Gold wants to know your thoughts on Logan Paul getting a title match. So, Eric, we've talked a lot about this, and you've really praised WWE for tapping into Logan Paul's audience and his mainstream, the press he's going to get, all that kind of stuff. But now he's going to get a championship match against Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. Is that too much? Is that taking it too far with sort of a celeb cameo style type opponent?
I don't think so. Look at how far Logan Paul has come in an amazingly, mind-numbingly short period of time. I don't want to use the term phenom, but I can't think of anybody, professional athlete or otherwise, that could walk into the business and in as short a time as he's been with WWE perform at the level that he's able to perform at. What's the term that sportscasters use? It's funny how sportscasters and people in media, talking heads especially, they're always looking for the new cool word. Like there's so many new cool words coming out all the time. Like when somebody's got a big ego and they need attention, I guess that's called thirst. Your thirst is showing. I just heard that the other day. Like, what the fuck? How do you know he's? Oh, I get it. Yeah, I hate to say icon, but man, I can't think of anybody that's come as far as him in such a short period of time. So I think it's kind of cool. And by the way, I know you addressed it, Christy, but I think it's worth highlighting. his following includes 30 million people. That's
Most
a
of them
following.
right in that age range that they need.
And how much you want to bet? I mean, I don't know. None of us will ever know, but I would bet a lot of money. And I'm not even a betting man. I hate betting. But I'd bet a lot of money that a large percentage of that 30 million people were typically not WWE fans. Mm-hmm. So they're growing their business based vis-a-vis their association with Logan Paul, but he's delivering. It's not like a one-way street. He's really delivering. He's getting the opportunity, but he's over-delivering. So now I'm kind of excited just to see from just a match perspective how that's going to go, because the expectations on Logan are pretty high. There's that. So the pucker factor comes in, and there's a chance this could go the wrong way. But if it doesn't, I think it's going to elevate Logan to even a higher level, because his credibility is already high, and it's going to get even higher if they put together a great match. And something tells me they will.
That looks like we're all going to have to actually watch Crown Jewel this year, yo.
I will.
Sometimes the internet likes to hate stuff, and on paper that sounds like something.
Oh, fuck 'em.
Sometimes.
Well, I think just with the political ramifications that are always going to be there when doing business in a country like that, having a Logan Paul sort of give his stamp of approval on that, obviously can't hurt. So let's move on, though. I want to take a moment to talk to Mick Mack for just a sec. He's got a great joke for us. Why do seagulls fly over the sea? Because if they flew over the bay, they'd be bagels. Love that. But we also want to send some condolences to Mick Mack, who lost his grandmother recently. Happy birthday to her up in heaven. She is hanging out with Elvis, according to Mick Mack. So we are sending love to Mick and his family, and big happy birthday to his grandma. And where should we go next?
Don't be so sure that Elvis is up there. I'm just throwing it out there.
Wow.
Rude, G Herm. Rude.
So dark. What did Elvis ever do to you?
I mean,
what if that fucker died on a toilet eating a Twinkie and you're burying him?
Oh, I didn't bury him. But I do have. You mentioned.
Yeah, follow that up, G Herm. Come on.
This is going to be a good one. You mentioned, Mexican food. Obviously, you mentioned how, the best Mexican food places are the ones that are owned by the Mexican family, and I resent that. Because I will not allow you to desecrate the very good name of a Taco Bell, because I love Taco Bell, and I'm not going to allow anybody else to insult that. So
I'm Taco Bell fan number
Bell
one.
is one of the worst places to eat on the freaking planet.
How dare you?
Eric, the only reason why George thinks that Taco Bell is even semi-decent is because he's never had Taco John's.
What's Taco John's?
Oh my God, Taco John's blows Taco Bell out of the water. But Taco Bell, the food is so bad there. I mean, when I'm on the road, I may be starving. If the only thing to eat is the Taco Bell, I just keep starving. That's horrible. Taco John's is where you want to go. Taco John's.
What the hell is Taco John's?
It must be some Midwest Minnesota thing.
It must be a Minnesota thing.
No, it's actually, they've got them out in Wyoming too.
Okay.
No, we've got one. We've got them here in Wyoming, Montana, North, South Dakota. The Heartland, brother. The Heartland.
Does it have a drive-through?
Yes.
Let's do it.
And breakfast. You'll love it. You'll love it.
Well, where are y'all on Del Taco, though?
Shouldn't it be Taco Juan's? That's
it's the same no? All right.
Yeah.
Whoever put that
Pretty good
taco,
hangover food. They're like, if you're hungover,
Yeah,
Del Taco's pretty good.
100%.
Where are we
Whoever
on
put
Jack
that
in the
taco
Box
Juan is
tacos?
hilarious. Drunk. Only if I'm drunk.
There you go. There you go.
Absolutely. All right, let's go back to Roman Reigns here for just a second. We just talked about his big upcoming match against Logan Paul. The Landlord Harassment Channel would like to know, Eric, how would you handle it if you were managing heel Roman instead of Paul Heyman? What kind of promos would you be cutting? What advice would you give Roman? It must be kind of fun to think about that a little bit, yeah?
No. No, I've never seen myself as a manager. And I mean, if something, if Paul Heyman decided he was going to run off and become a rabbi or something, and he needed somebody, and I was dumb enough to try to fill those shoes, I would suck so bad. I still will anybody that ever tries to take that spot. So what would I do? I'd tell him he needs to find another manager because I wouldn't want that spot.
You'd be
All
the
right, that would
Wheeler
be
Yuta.
advice.
You'd be the Wheeler Yuta of that situation. Anybody that watched Dynamite yesterday knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Poor Wheeler Yuta. He's been grilled almost like a piece of meat. Here's a question from Josh Eric. He wants to know, how did dinner turn out tonight? Those
It
Rec Tech
did,
grill
and
videos
Josh,
rocked.
congratulations, Josh. Got himself a Rec Tech because he saw what I was cooking tonight, and we were going back and forth, and he asked me what kind of grill I had and what model I had, and I told him, and 20 minutes later, he says, I just ordered mine, so congrats. I love that. It's nice to reach out and improve the quality of somebody's life because of an association we have with a great sponsor with a great product. Bam! That was awesome. Actually, Mrs. B had to finish it off because I had to come out here and do this show, and the pork chops weren't quite ready to pull off yet, so we're not going to get the finished shot. But I'll write a report in the morning and tell you how good it was.
We're waiting. I just picture Mrs. B in her apron with the thingy that flips the things.
The thingy that flipped the thingy.
Spatula.
And yeah, that. And here's what else we're doing. Miss B made homemade from scratch apple crisp on the Rec Tech.
Oh, that's
From scratch. She even ground the walnuts by hand.
What?
And that's not all, because if you're going to have apple crisp cooked on the Rec Tech, you have to have ice cream, right?
Of course.
But no, we're not going to go to the store and buy ice cream. You know what we're going to do? Actually, what Mrs. B is going to do, she's actually doing it right now. She's going to make some vanilla bourbon keto ice cream by hand.
Right.
And it's absolutely keto friendly. It's like all fat. There's no carbs. There's like 4 carbs in a bowl. Now, the apple crisp is going to put me over a little bit. I know that because I'm really trying to keep my keto levels real high. But I'm gonna step off the curb tonight just a little bit for that apple crisp, but I'm gonna dive face first into that ice cream.
It's a 17-hour.
Yeah.
It's a 17-hour and 44-minute drive for me. Just hold up, I'll be right there.
There. Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be worth every mile.
Anything less would be uncivilized. I've once heard you said. Just saying. Which on this week's episode, you were talking about a lot of luchador stuff, obviously, but one thing that it kind of piqued my interest is your interest in Lucha Underground. How did you find it, and do you have a favorite moment, if any?
Actually, they found me. I actually took a meeting with the producers, the people behind it, very early in its inception. Actually, Dorian from AAA was there in that meeting. And I don't think Mark Burnett was in that meeting or not. He wasn't. Because I'd done some work with Mark previously, so we knew each other. But yeah, I don't want to say it was an interview, but it was a meeting, and obviously just feeling each other out. And I was impressed. I didn't really learn a lot. I saw some of the graphics and some of the staging design and things like that. They wanted to give me an idea of what they were doing. But I think it was more of just a chemistry check and an interest check. So that's how I first found out about him. And obviously, once the show went into production, I tuned in because I was curious. The people that I knew that were involved in it. Mark Burnett was producing it, executive producing it, and Conan was involved. And like I said, I was pretty interested.
Did you? Oh, I got logged off. Right on. No, did you get to see the Penta versus Vampiro storyline? To
No.
me, that's okay.
No, because what channel was that on? I don't even remember anymore.
El Rey.
Spike. Oh,
No,
It was on El Rey.
Yeah,
El
Robert
Rey.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, that was a little hard to find. Not every place had that network. But I did see it, but I didn't follow it closely.
For the stuff that you did see, what did you think they did right in terms of their production or presentation?
I think the focus on storytelling and obviously character was very, very good. I think it was done so well, but for the domestic audience, I think they had a hard time adjusting to the. Now, I'm not talking about hardcore wrestling fans. Take those people out of the match. They'll watch anything, right? In a wrestling ring, they may not like everything, but they'll watch it. But I'm talking about just the non-hardcore fan, and even people that were pretty regular viewers of wrestling, but not, like I said, hardcore. I think they had a hard time with the transitions from the ring action to the backstage drama, because the backstage drama was produced so well, much like a soap opera, the way it was lit, the way it was staged, the way it was shot, pacing, the narrative. It was like you went from a fight in the ring. I'm going to, try to allow myself to believe, give myself permission to believe in this stuff. And then you kind of abruptly go into a backstage area that's so similar to film and scripted television that it was a little jarring, I think, for the audience. It would have taken them a lot longer for the audience to get up to speed with that type of production. Because when you first see it, if you're not committed to it, because you know somebody that works there or whatever, if you're not committed to it, it's a little jolting. But I loved it. I loved that they tried. I loved that they tried, and that I was really interested in their technique. And it obviously didn't work, and maybe it didn't work for other reasons too, by the way. Not the least of which is El Rey Network was not watched by a lot of people, at least them. It was new at that time. But, it was cool. Nice effort.
Well, let's go back to WCW for just a second. It was 25 years ago today that Bill Goldberg made his debut on WCW. Yeah, of course, squashing Hugh Morris. Was there a lot of thought put into who Goldberg's opponent would be, or did it just need to be a squash? Did it not matter much?
I think ultimately it didn't matter much because you conditioned the audience to expect it, and they just wanted to see that jackhammer. It's like Hulk Hogan back in the day. They just want to see that leg drop and watch him go like that. That was his thing, that jackhammer or the spear and a jackhammer. As long as they got that, they didn't really care too much who was on the other end of it. But his first match, it needed to be a big dude. It needed to be somebody that made Bill look even more impressive. If Bill would have come out there and, snatched somebody that was 210 pounds and didn't look like a threat, it wouldn't have been too impressive. But to go out there and do what he did with Hugh Morris, that's instant credibility for him. But after a week or two or three, it didn't really matter. They just wanted to see it.
Yeah, Bill getting that, Bill DeMott or Hugh Morris in the jackhammer, and stalling, to me, that's one of the most iconic wrestling images of all time, and especially in hindsight of what it would lead to.
Yeah, no, definitely. And even that one moment, and to your point, even in that one moment, and that message, that was a hell of a message. Bill Goldberg was on the scene and he showed up in a very impressive way.
Well, I think people may also remember from back in the day, Action Bronson being kind of involved, always being a wrestling fan. Remind me, guys, what his experience was in wrestling back in the day. Eric, did you work with him? Did you bring him in? Now AEW is using him with Hook. He'll be on Rampage tomorrow night. What's your experience with Action Bronson?
I don't know if I have any. Did I?
I'm pulling up his Wikipedia. Check this out. I didn't realize he had been in the wrestling world before.
Well, yes, he has, and he's great friends with Sean Waltman, and that's how I know this. But I couldn't remember what his experience had been. So he's finally getting involved in the ring. This is another celebrity, use of a celebrity in AEW. Was that something that was on your radar at all, Eric? Did you hear that or see anything about it and think like, oh, Action Bronson, good choice?
I'm not going to say anything because anything I would say is going to sound really shitty. So let's just move on.
All right, let's do that.
Because I don't want to say I don't even know who he is. Sorry.
No problem.
It's because I'm out of touch. It's okay.
I think anyone who does it will after Friday night. But if you guys don't mind, let's go ahead and play a rousing game of Sign Here, Let's Talk, or Good Luck. So, Eric, this is one where I'm going to give you some names of some free agents out there, people who aren't signed to any company, big or small. And I want you to tell me, if you had them right in front of you in a meeting, would you say to them, sign here? Simply, let's talk. Maybe let's negotiate and see how this goes. Or good luck. Adios. Not here, bro. All right. Sign here. Let's talk. Or good luck. First one up is somebody we talked about already today, Bray Wyatt.
Oh, sign here. I mean,
he's going to cost you quite a bit.
Yeah, but and now, assuming that we had a plan that I felt confident in, and we're going to come up with something that's new and fresh for him, but not a total departure from his previous character, so that you kept that fan base. But provided, there was a good creative plan, it's a good bet. You're going to make your money back.
All right, next one on the list seems like a no-brainer, but Sasha Banks. It'll be different bringing her in for another company than would have been if she had left in a different way. A lot of complication there, and she's got a lot of big things going on in Hollywood, too. Is a Sasha Banks worth signing?
No. And I think or my fear would be, because I don't know Sasha Banks. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with her other than maybe hello. But I'm guessing that she had a tremendous amount of success in WWE for a long time and made a lot of money. And she's very young. And she apparently, based on what I've read, is interested in music and or acting. And I think she's got all the potential in the world. So my fear and why I would hesitate and probably not get comfortable for the amount of money it would cost to get to sign her is because I would believe that deep down in her heart, she would really want to be doing something else. So
good luck, Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I think if she wants to come back, she'll come back to WWE. But I'm guessing she may not want to come back.
Although I think for the parameters of the game, we'll call it a let's talk, and you'd want to iron out a bunch of dates. You'd want her on TV every week.
No, because here's what happens, and this is one of the reasons, Vince McMahon gets a lot of heat, or has, from people that I know that have been victims of this. But Vince was pretty stingy about letting his talent get involved in other projects outside of wrestling. Until you got to, The Rock, obviously, and Cena. And when WWE Films was in existence, of course, that was a little bit of a different story because that was in-house stuff.
Yeah.
But, I was always a little reluctant because you lose your talent for a long time. And they're out of the mix. And you've spent a lot of time building them up. And you need them on your roster. And now all of a sudden they're gone. It's not necessarily a great thing. And I'd be too worried about something like that happening.
I think you're right. I think I wouldn't be shocked if she has an Emmy in the next 5 years. Like, I think that's the trajectory for her.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
Or maybe an Oscar. How about this one? Brandy Rhodes. A lot of experience in the ring. She can announce on a dime if you need her to fill in.
Sold. Yeah. Versatile, talented, young, attractive, knows the business. Yeah.
Yes. Sign here, Brandy. She's one of my faves. How about the Good Brothers? So that's
Oh,
Luke
definitely,
Gallows and
definitely.
Oh.
I'm going down to hang out with them. In
I thought
Georgia
I would have
next
to
month.
tell you. I thought I would have to like remind you who they are, Eric.
No, hell no. I'm going down to hang with them. I'm on a show. They're promoting a show down in Georgia.
Well, that ought to be fun.
Next month. I think it's next month. I'm going down there. Garrett's going to be on the
Is it
show.
is it the Talkin' Shop-a-mania, whatever they do?
I don't know what the name of it is, but I'm on my way. I ran into. Where did I see them last? I saw them in Nashville. Oh, we stayed at the bar and had a good time. But it's not the first time that's happened with those guys. No, I love those guys.
All right, sign here, good bros. What about Malachi Black? Former Aleister Black of WWE is reportedly taking a little time off, but also probably wants to go back to WWE, where he would be under the helm of Triple H, who was detrimental in his career in WWE before. His wife is there. Would you be interested in signing Malachi Black?
That would have to be
Let's talk.
They have to get to know each other pretty well, because I'd have to understand more where his head was at, what his goals were, and how he saw himself in the big scheme of things. Yeah, that'd be a chemistry check on that one.
All right, let's do one more. How about Eric Rowan? He was in the faction in WWE
I know him really well.
with Bray Wyatt in them.
I know him really well.
He's kind of been floating around out there for a while. What do you think?
I worked with him in WWE, and I was shocked that they let him go. I think Eric Rowan, with a little bit of time and not a lot, like 2 or 3 months, working with somebody that was really a good coach, can cut money promos. He's a good promo, and he's a good character. And he was just kind of getting into his own, and when they cut him loose. So I think there's a lot of untapped potential in him. Really do. Somebody would be, if AEW is looking for somebody that's a believable badass, that big man, that he or you can depend on, he'd be my guy in a minute.
Good Day brought up in the chat something I forgot, that Eric Rowan was in The Rock's last match. Not the most recent Dallas WrestleMania, but the Dallas WrestleMania before that, The Rock came out and had a match, and it was with Eric Rowan. Mm-hmm. That's how good Eric Rowan is.
He's smart, and he's a pro. So I can't believe AEW hasn't picked him up. He's really good, and like I said, he's got a ton of potential.
Well, that certainly is a big vote of confidence coming from you. That was fun, Eric. Thanks for playing along. I want to get to a few more of our questions from our live viewers before we go to our special ad-free shows after party. Nicholas Blake wants to know if you have any plans for doing a meet and greet. He said he'd love to meet you. You just mentioned something you're doing with the Good Brothers. When's the next time people can get out there and shake your hand?
September. I think in October I'm going to be in Toronto. Early November. No, I'm going to be, I think, yeah. End of October, I'm going to be in Toronto. The next weekend, I'm going to be in Winnipeg. Then I'm going to be down in Georgia. And then I'm going to be in North Carolina for WrestleCade. And I think that's it. That's all I got.
Well, that's quite a bit. You
quite
got your opportunities out there, folks.
And then one of those are the Talkin' Shop show, or the
that's the Georgia show.
Yeah, okay.
That's the Georgia show.
Love that. All right, we just want to make sure we get to a few more of these before
I'll take this one, Christy. The Landlord Harassment Channel also wants to ask Eric specifically, would Christy have been a good manager for Rick Rude?
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I think Christy would have been great in like the Dangerous Alliance.
Ooh. In the Missy Hyatt.
Christy could have been a great manager for any number of people. Mm-hmm. But with Rick, see, this is a little hard because I feel like I know Christy and I like and respect Christy. So I also know how Rick Rude was. And I've heard some of the stories from Wendy Flair about working with Rick Rude. And I'm not sure I would do that to somebody that I knew.
Well, I appreciate that, Eric.
Although we've talked about it before. I know deep down, Christy always wanted to be a Nitro girl.
True story. True story. That'll be my next TikTok. Actually, I'm going to break down a Nitro Girls dance, show everybody how to do it, and we can all have our Nitro Girls moment, I think.
I think that'd be awesome.
I'm the only one.
That's a great ad-free show special. You could get together with a couple of the Nitro girls. I know them. I still talk to them out on, we see each other out in the events and things like that.
Yeah.
Get everybody together and let's do a video and have Christy be a part of it. It'd be a big YouTube sensation. I'm all about it.
Dead. I would be dead. I love it.
I'll bring the rec tech. I'll cook us all some
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, some brisket. So after you're done dancing, we can have some brisket.
Yeah, not before.
Landlord Harassment Channel. Christy's the best host on YouTube. I want to say she's the best host on TikTok as well.
What about me, y'all? Well, I appreciate that very much, you guys.
Agreed.
And I think we got to all of our big questions for Eric from our live viewers. We're going to hold off on some from our top guys. Yeah, let's do it. So we are going to roll over to our special ad-free shows after Partay. We want to thank you guys so much. If you have joined us live on the 83 Weeks YouTube channel, thank you. Make sure you hit that big red subscribe button. And then if you click the little bell too, you will get a fancy notification every time we go live and you have the opportunity to talk to Eric. So thank you so much. We do this live at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Thursdays when the Hall of Famer is free. So check us out every week. We hope you can join us live, bring your questions. And if you would like to join our special after party where things get real sassy, you can sign up over at adfreeshows.com. Thank you so much, Ad Free Show friends. Stay tuned. We got more coming for you. And have a great week, everybody.
That's sassy as fuck, that song.